I feel like kids have such this like natural ability to just like make marks and stuff without any inhibition, and that's a lot of what my stuff looks like, is just like mark making and playing with colors and stuff like that. So it's like I feel like every kid is kind of an abstractist, which is nice. I was in art class, and it was like the only class that I was actually like going to the like second half of high school. Like I would just like skip all of my other classes and go sit in the art room. Like I had a key to the art room that my high school art teacher gave me, and I would leave and like go get high and then like come back and sit in his room and like wait for me to like look less high before I would walk the hallways and shit. But like I left school out of the art room doors. Like I would hang out in the kiln room. I would like keep my weed in like a cabinet in the kiln room. And I would just like sit in there and like do pottery and shit. Like while he was teaching other classes, I was in there like skipping class, doing pottery. So it was just like this safe space to do that. And I was like increasingly getting more into drugs and like heavier drugs. And I think like part of being a drug addict is this cyclical, like eternal identity crisis. And because being a fine artist, especially like somebody who makes like conceptual art, is like it is like you're telling a story and it's an extension of the artist. Like I felt so much of it had to be about identity or about like these big important things. So like the first year I went, I was really into, for lack of better like words, just like making art about death. But I got really, really heavy into like drugs and alcohol at that time too. So a lot of my art was just like very just like choppy and like, I don't know, like I wanted it to mean something, but like the thing I wanted it to mean was that like nothing means anything. And I was like feeling that very much too and like living that. So I felt like that was like as authentic as it could have been. I started like messing with like sculpture stuff in some classes, and I really liked just like how hands-on it was. That was like interesting, like balancing a drug and alcohol addiction and then also like jumping into welding cages and like mixing like dangerous materials and stuff like that. And like I didn't do it safely, like, and I got in trouble for that a lot. And I was just like, I don't fucking care, I'm playing with fire, like literally, and that's fun. And so yeah, like I fell in love with almost like the danger of it, and then also the fact that like I was getting a lot of praise for the shit I was making. And yeah, so that's kind of like what the like end of my ed career looked like. But I got like good results from it and I really enjoyed it. So my like addiction was the most manageable it had ever been because I was so involved in like making art. Like when I started and for like most of my college career, like I was like leaving every 20 minutes to like go smoke, and like I would like bring alcohol to school and shit. But like the last year I was working on my senior thesis, and like I was on a lot of fucking coffee, but like I would wait until I got home, like after like 12-hour days in the lab to like use and stuff, which like I was still using it every day and abusing it. But like once I graduated was when my life like fell apart because I didn't have that anymore. I felt so lost without like any kind of structure, and just to be able to do what I wanted, like I started bartending right away outside of college. And like so quickly, like that became my accountability of like, this is the place I'm going to every day. And obviously that involves like fucking like drugs and alcohol and shit. And it's like school didn't. It wasn't there for me, you know? So I was using a lot more, and then like all of like the passion of whatever like became secondary, and it was like, this isn't useful to me anymore. I don't think it's a space that I could be happy in because of like alcohol, because of the people, because like art is something that I feel like is supposed to bring people joy, and when I'm making it to like make other people happy or to sell it to people and stuff, like that takes away from the process of making it.
Yeah.
You're like selling your soul kind of in a way. Like, here's this tragic story about me in a painting, you know, and to have to make that, knowing you're going to show it to people, to have it be sold, and also to like sit there and like explain it and like write an artist blurb about it and have it pasted on a wall. Like, that's crazy. Love artists, you know, we need artists to be able to do that because it's like vulnerable and it's relatable and it's like important. But I don't know, like, I think especially at that time, like, I wasn't ready for like people to know me, and like I didn't know myself even, so like I couldn't authentically like present who I was through art at that time. I'm better suited helping other people like connect with art in a way that I feel like is fulfilling, which is like why I feel pretty happy being in the field of working with children, because like they just make art to make art, you know. I feel like I've gotten a lot more into touch with like more delicate like forms of art making, which like I think a lot of that is like connecting with my inner child a lot more and like trying to like return back to like the whole human being that I was when I was like young, before like drugs were a part of my life or like tragedy. I started playing with like beads and stuff like that and like making jewelry or like keychains or like little beaded animals. I had a big beaded animals phase. And then when I started working at the elementary school in Shorewood, it's like really big that these kids like make lanyards and stuff like that, which are like these little box stitch things, like some people call them boondoggles. I've made so many of them, and it's like this meditative like stitching and stuff like that, but it's like bright and colorful, and then when you're done with it, it is like almost like a mini sculpture, like a textile thing, and it's like tactile, and it gave me that same kind of like release and ability to control that like sculpture gave me, but it was creative and it was beautiful, and it's like insignificant, you know, like it means something to me because like I spent like however many hours making it and like designing it and stuff like that, but it's just like this little fucking plastic thing. It was like I'm doing a lot of like pencil drawings and watercolor paintings, and it's like soft little delicate things, like I'm doing like fruits and like birds and like moths and like little vegetables and stuff like that. I just want to beautify the moment. I want to make the moment more beautiful, and that like gives me some kind of incentive too, is like I want art in my house, and I want art that like makes me happy and is something that I want to look at. I was like reading and like writing, like that was what recovery looked like for me in the beginning, was just like a lot of reading and writing. So I just like, I told myself I didn't really have time for it, and then I had a lot of time in alumni, and like I couldn't deny it, and I was like, I have to find fucking hobbies, dude. Like I'm becoming insufferable to myself. But yeah, and like probably like 8 or 9 months sober, I think I made jewelry. I had some of my old jewelry making stuff that I brought over from like my storage at my dad's house, and I was like, I can get into this.